Hi, welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Judith Patterson, an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Texas, and today I have a cute little card to show you how to make. I was scrolling through Pinterest, I don't know, a week or two ago, and I saw this card that was so cute. It was like, it had a flower and it was brick laid. So like the creator, and I don't know who it was because, like I say, I was just scrolling through. I didn't save it or anything. It just kind of stuck in my brain. But it looked like they had cut the cardstock to look like bricks and then stuck it all onto a back layer of cardstock, if that makes sense. It was really pretty, but it looked kind of tedious and not something that I have all that much patience for. But it kind of stuck in my brain, and it got me to thinking about Stampin' Up's In Good Taste Designer Series paper. So that's what I'm using today, is a piece of In Good Taste Designer Series paper, and I chose this like wooden layered background because I thought how awesome it would be to cut along these lines instead of drawing my own like sections to cut, and I don't have to cut so many tiny pieces with this. And honestly, there's so many great patterns in this designer series paper. Let me flip my camera around. I'm going to show you also, I'm using the Shaded Summer stamp set again. I use this one a lot. I love these images, especially when I'm doing just like silhouettes. Instead of using color, I just stamp them in a solid color. Like this time I'm going to stamp them in Versamark and then heat emboss with black embossing powder. But like, I think the same concept would be good with any of these backgrounds that or these patterns that you can just cut right out. See, I thought about doing this one, but that's a lot more cutting, and like I say, I just don't have that kind of patience. And this one's a little too big. These are huge wooden slats on this pattern, and then these are really tiny. Again, my attention span, it's just not there. I don't have that patience, but you might. And if you decide to take this and run with it and use some of these smaller patterns, I would love to see that. So you can tag me on Facebook or Pinterest or Instagram if you decide to do that, because I would really love to see how it turns out. But in the meantime, let me show you what I decided to do with it. So you're going to need, if you decide to follow along, the Shaded Summer stamp set or another stamp set that has a large flower. This is a 3 3/4 by 4 3/4 piece of In Good Taste Designer Series paper. I have 2 4 by 5 1/4 pieces of basic white cardstock. One is for the inside and one is for the front. Then I have a 4 1/8 inch piece of basic black, and this is 5 3/8 this way. And then just a standard 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch card base. So let's get started. The first thing to do is grab my glasses. Now I can see what I'm doing. So the second thing to do is to get that Versamark out, skipping a step. I'm going to go ahead and take out the static and any oils that are on this paper. With my embossing buddy, you can use a used dryer sheet to do the same thing. I'm going to ink up my stamp with Versamark, and I want it good and wet. And then just towards the left of this image, or this designer series paper, I'm going to go ahead and stamp with the Versamark. It doesn't have to be right at the edge, just towards the edge. And then try to center it up and down. Then I'm going to get my black embossing powder. Okay, so now I'm going to follow along and just cut out along these lines for all the different pieces of wood. And this one, I'm going to go ahead and just cut off the tip, and I'm going to try to keep it straight. And I'm going to try to keep it lined up in the order that I cut them. I don't want them, I'm not going to worry about laying them out perfectly. I just want it just to keep a general idea of how these pieces go so that I don't have to try putting them together like a puzzle at the end of all this. You can see I used the back side of this. At one point I was going to make a different card. Oh, I don't know, months ago with this same piece of paper. And I decided I didn't like the way it was turning out. So I didn't, and I kept it to reuse at another time. And now is that time, and it's going to be perfect. So these two already had ends, so I don't want my edges to all line up perfectly straight like this is. So I'm just going to set these to the side, and I'm probably not going to put them back on the card. Okay, so I'm going to scoot all this over a little. This little piece I'm just going to get rid of. Okay. I think that this piece will be a good one to put my sentiment in its spot. So I'm just going to cut off most of this and stick it to the side. This has a teeny bit of my flower on it, so I'm not going to throw this whole piece away. I'll probably cut off part of it, but not all of it. Okay. Don't want to glue anything down yet because I still want to stamp and heat emboss on this basic white and dry emboss with an embossing folder. But I need to get an idea of where I'm going to be able to put that sentiment. Plus, I need to decide which ones of these pieces to go ahead and cut a little shorter. Like I said, I don't want it to all be evened up. And these are almost hanging off the page, so that's not going to be okay. Okay, so I'm going to leave this one a little long. I'm going to go ahead and cut this one a little shorter. Okay, that looks good. So this is the spot I'm gonna put my sentiment. So I'm just gonna grab hello you and that Versamark again. Need to get the static out of this one. I'm just gonna move these top pieces. Okay, so now I'm gonna get that black embossing powder. Okay, now I'm going to let this cool for just a minute, and then I'm going to run it through the Time Worn Type 3D embossing folder. This is one of my favorite embossing folders. It's in the July to December 2021 mini catalog, but this one is sticking around even after the catalog, so I'm happy about that. Okay, so I've got to use my full-size Stampin' Up! Cut and Emboss machine for this, since I'm using this Time Worn Type 3D embossing folder. I'm going to put the folder upside down. Let me see if I can get this where you can see. So there's this line across the bottom of this. So I'm putting that at the bottom so that I can line up my cardstock with that and keep everything straight. And I'm turning my cardstock upside down, and then lining it up with that guideline at the bottom of the embossing folder. I go ahead and close the embossing folder and put on my number 4 plate and run that through. So that is a step that you can skip if you don't have the embossing folder or the stamp cut and emboss machine. I just think it gives it a more finished look, maybe a little bit more elegance than leaving just a plain cardstock there. Okay, so now I'm going to use my liquid glue to put all this on here. I do, usually I tell you to use whatever adhesive you love the best. But I really recommend the liquid glue on this part because it gives you just a minute to make sure everything is exactly where you want it before you glue it down. I got my sentiment just a little crooked. That kind of bugged me, but it'll be okay. There's so many pieces to this. I imagine I'm going to have more than just that sentiment a little crooked before the end of it. So you remember when I had everything laid down, I didn't have these bottom pieces all the way to the edge. So I need to remember that and not start too far over to the left. I hope I've given myself enough room. I think I have. Let's see.
I also think I have misplaced a piece. I have to see if I can find it. Yeah, I think it will be okay.
So if you have a hard time picking up these small pieces of cardstock, so then you can do is grab that take your pick tool and use the sticky end here and just grab your cardstock with that. Makes it a lot easier to pick up. It's one of my favorite tools. I've used other tools that are similar to this one, but not made by Stampin' Up, and I have to be honest, this one is my favorite. One reason why is because it comes with more ends than the other one I have used, but also because the sticky end, one, it doesn't tend to just spurt out and go crazy, but two, you can get, it comes with a replaceable tip, like it comes with an extra one, and then you can buy more, so you don't have to keep buying the same tool over and over again. You just buy this end and you can replace that end, which is awesome. Ay, 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 I still dropped it. I was getting worried I was going to cover up my sentiment, but I didn't. It's looking good. So it looks like the stamp that's on the back of this was that delicate dahlia stamp from the second celebration. I think it was the second celebration in 2021. May have been the first. Can't remember. I do remember it was the same, out at the same time as the donkeys, so whichever one that was. Oh, it was a little crooked. There we go. So back in the day, way before there was a take your pick tool, we used to get a little bit of adhesive and let it dry on like the tip of a toothpick. It got kind of messy, but it did the trick. This is 100 times better though. 100 times, easily. So I decided not to add a ribbon or any embellishments, but I keep thinking a ribbon would be cute, or like black baker's twine, that would be good. But I also think the black matte dots might be really great just around the sentiment. I don't know. What do you think? I really want to see if y'all decide to do this too, and your take on it. Oh, I cut that close up there on that one, didn't I? Like really close. And you know what else? I think I put this piece upside down. But that's okay. It's all good.
I think I made that off.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and trim this one. No. That's the one. I'm going to trim it just a smidge. Make sure it's not lining up exactly. And trim it just a smidge more. Then I'm going to place it on here. But that's the only gap I think I'm going to fill in. I think I'm going to leave the rest of it just the way it is. Then I'm going to glue this onto my black piece. Then I'm going to glue this one. There we go. Put this on my gray granite card base. And there you have it. Got some strings on that. There we go. What do you think? Do you like that technique? Like I said, the one that I saw that has made me think about this for days is, it was like brick cut. Like it was smaller pieces, like maybe that or somewhere around one of those sizes. And everything was the same size, and then they just alternated how it went. And it was really cool. It was just, it looked very time consuming. So let me know what you think of this, and if you decide to do your own take on it. I would love, love, love to see. And in the meantime, I hope you have a wonderful day and that you're able to join me on my Facebook page Thursday at 6 p.m. Central Time for a Facebook Live. I think what we're going to be looking at is the December paper pumpkin kit. It is so cute. It's called Lots of Pun, and it's a little silly. And so I think we're going to have some fun with that. So I hope you have a great day. Happy stamping.